Let me not try and paint the picture of Ireland that it is some kind of lovely emerald utopia where everyone is sound and there are no gobshites. Because that is not true, and ironically, I'd be a gobshite to try and say that. Nowhere is perfect. As part of human nature, we can be nasty and subconsciously biased, and I have experience of this too. But I am fortunate to be able to say that I know I am loved in my community, and my childish squabbles were all squashed. I'd buy half the people that I had racially motivated fights with pints if I met them out, because we grew up together, and that's that. I think so much of race and identity, in my case at least, is mixed up with self-esteem, and in many ways down to the psychology of each person. I suppose my point is, when you are of colour, it can be easy to imagine a big evil white man at the head of a big corporate table who hates you and doesn't want you to do well. In the end, I looked at the island that I come from and didn't see any trace of this kind of racism. I also took charge of the fact that I believe I have something to offer the media in Ireland. I am currently a journalism student in NUIG. In my first year, I was eager to cut my media teeth and before long created a platform called the 091 Show. The original idea was to document Galway's involvement in the developing Irish hip-hop culture. And so, we started interviewing Irish rappers from all backgrounds and walks of life. And to some extent, we accidentally on purpose ended up documenting the associated diversity of Galway and how different communities and cultures mixed and interacted. My intention with the 091 Show has always been to capture the new island that we live in. As it is, realism is the most important point here. And because of this ethos, we've captured so many moments that show the reality of race in Ireland today. Black kids, white kids, European kids, and kids from so many different cultures, all proudly Irish. It is a music show, but naturally we often ended up speaking about issues surrounding culture, identity and race in Ireland today. I often ask them what they think. I do this because I want to make sure I am not deluded. Usually they agree that Ireland is a great place to be as a young person, full of opportunity and peace. I will admit though that occasionally I'm given an opinion that conflicts with mine, but I find that this is usually based on or caused by stories about racial attacks in the media. In my day-to-day life, I mingle in groups of people that are made up of Irish kids, the children of European immigrants, the children of African immigrants, as well as foreign students from pretty much everywhere. Nobody passes any remarks. What I could have used as an excuse, I instead looked at as an amazing and huge opportunity that only I could take. I've been working in and networking in Irish media for a couple of years now, and I have found no such barriers, no such racists. Sometimes people have assumed that I am dead into music and rap, which, technically I am, and been moving too fast to ask if I'm really intelligent, which I really think I am. But ultimately, when I thought about it, I realised that what is actually happening here is that they think I'm really cool and look, I'm not going to complain about that. Nor did it stop me. I stayed going, and like they say at home, look it, what more would you want? I love my country and I feel like I'm loved in it. But I might be talking out of my hole again, so we're going to test the theory and talk to some people about their experiences. Are they going to tell me they are loved like Phil Lynott and Paul McGrath? Or have they had real difficulty?
We'd like to continue with a song. It's called The Black Velvet Band. It's got a chorus, which you probably know. So, here's it. Well, in a neat little town they call Belfast.
So we're here in Belfast. As you probably already know, Belfast has a very interesting and complicated history itself. But we're not here for that today. Today we're here to talk to two mixed race people about their experiences of being Irish, doing very well for themselves, education, and just generally how they feel about race as an issue in Ireland today. As you can see here, a bit of Nelson Mandela there for you. You're part of that, hey.
This is a big one here in Azerbaijan. We the President's Cup. It was like a World Cup. This me beating the Asia, Stalin. Oh, this is a good one here. This is my first senior tournament, the 4th or the 13th for the 4th 2009. It's only 18 here. Won that as well. I've had some good memories. That's what life's about, isn't it? Making memories.
Yeah, making memories.
You live the rest of your life in Belfast.
In Belfast, yeah. So what happened? My father's from here, West Belfast, and he went to London. Well, I think he went to Birmingham first, and then made his way down to London when he was like 18. And my mother's in London. My grandparents are from Jamaica, so they're there and had 9 kids, and whatever the fate brought my mother and father together to have me. And 6 weeks after I was born, I was brought home to get christened straight away here in West Belfast. So from I was born, it's back and forward between Belfast and London, but then my mother died, so I came here full time to live with my father's grandparents. So it wasn't, when I got here full time, it wasn't a big mad culture shock or anything. Because some kids who are coming from mixed parents, if they're in England first, they probably never even really was in Ireland, or if they were somewhere, but they were in the black community, and they're just getting snatched out and dropped in the white community, and they're like, oh my God, what's going on? Whereas I grew up, I always had friends from when I was born here, had friends in London, so it wasn't like it wasn't like it was alien to me.
I mean, I'm the same, like, so two of my grandparents were cattle farmers in Galway, and 2 were sugarcane farmers in St. Catherine, Jamaica, you know? And that emigration story, like, the Irish are known for leaving, you know, and they went to England, and the same thing then happens in the Caribbean. So it makes sense, and it's quite a common story then that happens. So, okay, I'll ask you this way. Do you think that, like, your identity and you say it yourself, it's in your Twitter bio, proud Irish man with Jamaican roots, you know? Can you speak on just how important your identity and that is to you?
Yeah, well, a lot of people, I believe, go through life and they don't even really, like,
think about
their identity. They're just, I think as well, what's important to me is I'm trying to be a successful person in my field, and they're saying the biggest opposition to success isn't laziness, it's conformity. So everyone just conforms and like, listen, I'm just a person, I'm doing this. Whereas I feel like I have a different mindset. So I had to, look at myself and who am I? That's the question that everyone needs to ask, but not everyone does. So being here, coming over here from London, even to this day, my friends still make fun of me. Sure, you're English, anyway. And that just kills me. So, I'm proud. I'm a proud Irish. Like, I don't have one drop of English blood. I just happen to be born there. And
I say that all the time, and this is not going to make the edit. Call me black, anything you want, but
don't call me English. So that's it.
Tell me this. Do you see a difference between outside of yourself as a man and being grown up and being in a different position as a person, right? But do you feel or see a difference in Belfast today and Belfast when you were a child? Do you see a
not a huge difference. There is a difference because, like I was saying to you before, with my daughter, when she was starting school, I was worried about how it was going to be for her, because I was the only black kid in my school and in my year, and I was like, is she going to have the backbone to withstand the stuff that kids say and that want to touch your hair and want to something stupid. Kids used to call me a Mars bar. I used to Mars bar. So I was going like, could my daughter, will she be able to take this on the chin, or is it going to affect her? But then when she went into school, there was another black kid in the class, another mixed race girl, and they linked up and were best mates.
Yeah.
So then there was, in the next door class, there was another so there's 4 mixed race kids in her year group. So I was like, oh, shit's changing in here, but it's not massive. And I think for me as well, the internet has opened people's eyes to more cultures. So when I was young, people didn't have a clue about Jamaican culture or about London culture. And so there was certain words and things that that I would say that I would we slang terms which are Jamaican terms but they use in London. So nobody really knew what I was talking about. They didn't know about the music. I was sourcing my music from my family overseas. And now kids these days, they're all I hear people saying wagwan all the time. Nobody would have had a clue when I was young. They're listening, UK rap and grime is mainstream now. Whereas when I was young, we was talking earlier, but I never really got into grime, but I loved Kano and Kalashnikov and Dizzy Rascal, and I was weird for listening to these guys. Why listen to English rap? So these kind of changes is opening people's minds to be more accepting of different cultures. Whereas when I was young, it was he's Jamaican. Bob Marley, people come, yeah man, and fucking Cool Runnings and all these stupid things. That was their reference. You know what I mean? And do you smoke weed? That's the.
Oh my god.
That's I don't smoke weed. I never liked it. And but it's just, you're Jamaican, you smoke weed, Bob Marley. Yeah man. They say, fuck's sake. Now
there's a bit more
people are slightly more clued in.
And that's a very interesting point that you made. UK, I don't think it's necessarily, and I don't think the culture itself is English, but it's signified by UK. So when we the likes of Kano and even after grime came drill, grime and drill, you will find kids in no small numbers here that listen to that, and with that, like you say, there's a kind of imported culture almost, or I'm not sure if it's the culture that gets imported, but it's definitely an awareness. So if you say wagwan to somebody, you say yo fam, you say any of that kind of things, then you're more likely to be understood now, which is interesting.
Right, so we're here in a neat little town in Belfast, and we've come up here to talk to 2 young Irish people of colour to get a sense of how their heritage or their ethnicity gets in the way or helps, or just the effect that it has on their daily life. The first is Gemma. Gemma Bradley is an amazing singer and songwriter. She's from Derry.
Be grand, sure look it. I'm here today with Gemma Bradley, the most amazing, talented singer and songwriter, and she's also a presenter on BBC Ulster, and I've brought her in today to talk about her experiences in the kind of taboo topic of race in Ireland. And
my mum is originally from Northern Ireland.
Okay.
So we just moved back, and we moved to a small town called Draperstown, and it's in County Derry. And I've just lived there since. Now I'm kind of based in Belfast, but that's kind of where I grew up. I guess. Spent a couple of years in England and then kind of did all the growing up. I mean, that's funny because I have a very similar story in that I was born kind of the close enough city to Stoke-on-Trent is Derby, and that's where I was born. And like that, I think I was 8 or 9 when Mum got sick. Well, Mum's from Ballinasloe. And then we moved here. Obviously, because where I was kind of based in England, it's a lot more industrial, a lot's happening, whereas Draperstown, the town that I moved to, we have 1 doctors 3 shops. Do you know what I mean? It's very small. It's very different. But I actually, one of the things I always say, I'm really glad that I moved over here, because I feel like I would be a totally different person.
Yeah.
Growing up in a city rather than the rural kind of society, like I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah.
I think it's kept me really grounded.
I'm very like that too. Like, so you go from the city to a village, like the village where I live and where Mum comes from. Everything, it's called Kilconnell, and there's 3 pubs. There used to be 4. There's 3 shops. Yeah. There used to be 4. Like, there's 4 roads, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny. Like, that's such a relatable story or image. Like, you know what I mean? Anyway, and I'm assuming you're the only child that looked like you in Draperstown.
Yeah, kinda. Well, I mean, there was another family who moved. Well, they were there before me. But what I would say, it's really weird, because I'm quite lucky. I've always been very accepted.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't think it would be the same for them, if that makes sense. And I don't know why that is. Maybe I used to play sport and everything growing up, so maybe it's to do with team sports and things like that.
Yeah.
But I was always very accepted. So yeah, I don't know, it's kind of weird.
Is it kind of that you never so you never felt like an outcast or anything because of your colour?
No, like that's what I say, very, very accepted. Like, I've had some experiences, maybe when I was younger I probably did have some, but I would never have realised, if that makes sense. I was oblivious to it. I've just been like, oh, they don't like me, like, you know what I mean? But I'm very, as I've gotten older, it's very like more apparent.
I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, like it is, to be fair. It's a nice feeling, I guess.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I don't think it's ever held me back in any way. And like, I'm lucky to be able to say that it hasn't, because like I said, I think I've been pretty accepted. But I mean, I still say growing up, like I look very different to what I do now. I didn't wear my natural hair down or anything like that. I would chemically straighten my hair because I wanted like long hair like the rest of my friends, and I don't know, it's one of those stages when you're growing up, you just want to fit in, you know. Whereas now I'm just like, you know what, I'm gonna wear that yellow suit and I'm gonna wear my hair in my fro, you know. So it's I don't know, I don't care as much now. Whereas when I was younger I probably cared a wee bit more.
So there was it sounds like there was a kind of a journey there. There was steps to you coming to arrive at this place that you're at now.
100%. I think what really helped me, strangely enough, is when I moved to a city, when I started studying in Dublin. Like, everything's a lot different in a small town. You know, you don't want to stand out too much in a small town because, you know, people are like, oh god, would you look at what she's wearing or whatever. Whereas in the city, it's like anything goes. You can be yourself. The style's so different. Like, I know, looking back, if I had never moved to Dublin or like a city like it, I probably wouldn't wear what I wear now and wouldn't be as confident in myself, because I feel like I really found myself in those few years.
I'm going to ask a very bold question,
right?
No.
And
I've asked it to everybody.
Okay.
So it's not targeted at you, like, and I'm interested in the very different responses I've gotten to this question.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you are allowed to see yourself as Irish and be Irish by others?
But yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, for me, like, obviously, like, I am. I've lived here longer than I lived in England. I've spent most of my life here, so it would be weird for me not to, you know, have people see me as Irish when I am. There's there's just no question about it. I am what I am. But yeah.
I love that, you know. I love that. Tell them. And you know what's funny about that is, people say to me, I'm like, I'm Irish, right? And then they'd be like, oh, but you were born in England. Or, well, I'm not even sure if people do say that to me, or it's just the voice in my head that says to me, as if that takes away from my Irishness. But I actually think being born to an Irish immigrant in England makes you more, like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing more Irish than that. Like, as if to say, like, it's such a common story, and you see in so many people that, you know, like, it was no small amount of people that Irish people that were in England, like, and then come home again. You know, that's an interesting one. Gemma, do you feel like in your music career, do you think your colour has had any effect on your on how well you done?
No. Like I say, it's a weird thing. Like I don't think in my music I don't really do what other people do. It's very random, but so I mean I don't feel like that's ever come into play. Again, I've been fairly lucky in that I've been accepted, and it's never really been in question, you know, my Irishness, or, you know, oh, we shouldn't book her because she looks like this, or, you know what I mean, what that I'm aware of, you know, unless people have, I don't know, but I don't think it's come into play there at all. No, I'd say more being a woman has come into play there.
Really?
Because obviously at the moment there is like a lack of representation of women in the music industry. Sure, if you look at Electric Picnic's lineup, the headliners, all male. Not bashing any guys out there, but you know what I mean, it's just a bit shocking to see. Whereas like you maybe sometimes you're given certain opportunities because you're a woman, and like that's nice and everything, but it shouldn't be the way it shouldn't be a thing. You know, you should just get the opportunities because you're good, you know.
I think now I'm not going to pretend and say that I understand that, but that I can see it, you know. Even so, if you don't know, myself and Gemma met in Other Voices in Dingle this year, or it's last year now, but I was talking to Ro, and she was saying about how some major festival, and the lad who runs it comes out and says, oh, there's not enough girls picking up guitars, and you think,
oh yeah, I remember that comment.
What's that about? Like,
it's just things like that. It's just ignorance or stupidity, I don't know, that because there is it's just they're just not represented. There are loads of females out there picking up guitars, singing, whatever, writing music, and it's just like they're ignored. Same with Red and Leeds Festival. You know, I don't know if you saw the lineup when it was first announced, and you took away all the male names, and it was like hardly any women still. Like, it was a joke. If you took all the male names off the poster, it was not a festival. It was like a gig for 2 hours. Like, do you know what I mean?
I think that is so fascinating that Gemma has just told me that being a woman has been more of a barrier to progress and success than being of colour, which I think is I sometimes, Gemma, I get frustrated because these discussions about race, one, I don't think they had enough.
Oh, I agree.
And when they had in a very, oh God, this shit again. Who shot Malcolm X? Like, oh, like, you know, like it's such a reputation. Like, its repetition is often quite angry and negative. And one thing that I really hate is when, like, all I want is for I want Ireland to develop its own understanding of race and its own ways of dealing with it, because there's all these little quirky Irishisms that, you know, come into play. Like, it's a very different situation between diversity in the UK or diversity in America and here, and I'd like that to be acknowledged, you know. But I just think that's fascinating that, like, why is this the first time I've ever heard this said, you know?
Yeah.
So, for that little girl that looks more like you than anybody else,
yeah,
in some little village in some little county in Ireland, and she's thinking about her place in this country and who she is and what she is, what advice would you have for her?
Such a big question. I'd say be yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself. You know, it's okay if you look a little bit different, or if you talk differently or whatever, like, it's fine. Because I think the best person you can be is you, and, you know, if you do face discrimination or anything like that, you're not alone. There's always people to chat to. you know, a lot of people go through things in life and they are there to talk. I'm here to talk if, you know, she wants to talk to me. But yeah, I think my main thing is just be yourself, follow your dreams without sounding cheesy. Do what you want to do. Because, you know, when you put your mind to something, you know, no one's going to stop you from doing it if you just fire on.
Go on. Just fire on. And then, you know, I say, you know, if you're listening, you might not want my perspective or not, yeah. Say, yo, darling, you know, say you're beautiful, and and I think of all the countries in the world and all the places that you could be in that situation, I think we live in one of the best, where there's the most chance of being let live, like being
100%.
And I think me myself, like I tell the story about how, like, so I had a rough time in England in school, and it was all racially motivated, like to the point where in I did fifth class in 3 different schools, like for getting kicked out, like. But that was my experience of England. I know it was a very extreme one. I know that it might not necessarily be the same for everybody. However, that is my past. Like that is it's a part of me now. And and somebody asked me the other day, when did that stop? Like, when did you stop being so angry? And I remember walking into the village shop, and the shopkeeper there, an old woman called Margaret Giblin, and she says to me, "How are you porking?" And that was enough to genuinely change my life. I'd never had that before. I'd never been made to feel a part of any kind of community, never, let alone be welcomed or loved by someone that's just like a member of the village. Do you know what I mean? There's no deeper connection, only she runs the shop. And so my point is kind of, I think there is hope for diversity and whatever, to just, like you say, fire away, like stay going. And I think there's a barrier mentally. I think there's in yourself, like, to understanding yourself, and there might be an ignorance barrier, like, and a slagging barrier, but I think there is a real opportunity and a real hope for people like us in this country, full stop. I
guess we're prime examples, you know?
Exactly. Done told you a long time. See, when we're like 35 now, looking back on this, we're like, yo, told ya. Anyway, I think that would be all for today. Thank you so much, like, honest to God, that was brilliant. I was about to say, we'll talk to you next week. We won't talk to you next week. This isn't that.
So there you have it. I feel like I've done a good job of painting a picture of what Ireland is like for people of my generation, and how we deal with race as an issue in 2020. I think we're a lot more progressive than we might initially give ourselves credit for. It was also really interesting to kind of see how race as a topic is dealt with in a city like Belfast, which has, as everybody knows, its own political issues and history. I'd do another documentary about that, but you know, I'll have to walk before I can run. RTE or TG Car, if you're looking for somebody to send out to Belfast, give me a shout, you know. So unfortunately, the time has come for us to leave this tiny little town they call Belfast. I'm going home back to Galway with a lot to think about. If anything, I've learned that issues around race and identity are never concrete. They're always open to the person who's hearing them's interpretation, you know. We talked to one girl who said the fact that she's a girl is more of a disadvantage than her colour. And we talked to another man who talked about the difficulties that he's had because of this, but ultimately how he grew to and use it to his advantage. It's very, you know, and I suppose that's about the size of it.
18, token up a blaze just to make it through the daily. Soaking up the matrix, no consoling from the mainstream. Up and on a break thing. Who the fuck are you? A product of the town I'm raised in. We were making moves, a fuse are further than the basics. I can take you through the view that you have never viewed, so just sit back and don't you say shit. Anxious and out my past, I'm anxious. Fancy the part, let's travel, build castles that are sank in. Looking in the mirror, like, who brought